let's do some first half grades here, because recency bias would say, and I see some report cards here, and there was a tweet that was put out earlier on my account. We got some grades. The Orioles right now are still in first place in the American League. They are still one of the best teams in the American League, despite all of the injuries and despite all of their imperfections. They are in a position where they want to be. They're in a better position in the standings than they were last year. And I do believe that they are going to make moves. So I'm just going to start off with this and say, with everything that happened, first half grade for me is an A. Do they need to make improvements? Absolutely. Do they need to go get depth in the pitching department? Absolutely. Would I like to see some prospects come up and get some opportunities? Absolutely. But do not let the last week represent what the Baltimore Orioles have done for this first half of the season, which includes their record against teams over 500, their record against teams in their division. That's the first series they lost, guys, right, to a divisional opponent since the beginning of last season.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that streak got ended.
Yeah, it was they had either won or tied against the AL East for a very long time. Hadn't lost the record. And then, all good things must come to an end.
Yeah, and you know what? Good. And then, you know what? I think in last night's game, morning game, goodness, holy shirts and pants, that the fact that I don't care how they won it, I'm just glad that they did. And this could be a moment here on July 14th where people can look back at the season and go, this was a defining moment for the Orioles. So despite all of that, guys, I'm still going to give it an A. That's where I stand with this. Do I dare ask which way it goes? Last thing I'll say, too, yeah, I'll sniff some socks for Seti if that's what it takes. Shout out my guy. I don't even have, these aren't even socks, but, it's good. Oh, yeah. It's good.
You did not just fucking do that.
Let's go. I can't wait for Seti to hit a home run.
But you know what? Also, the fact that someone said that off of it and then said he went on a run after that was electric.
So good.
Hey, it's all good. Who wants to go next with their grade?
Right,
Zach?
So how are we dealing with injuries in this grading system? Because if I want to talk, it's an A if you talk about all the adversity they've overcame. But if we're adding in losing one of your top pitchers, losing John and Kyle Bradish, losing John Means, losing Danny Coulomb, if you include injuries as part of how they did, that sucks. And I take that to a B plus, because obviously it sucks when you lose those guys. But in the sheer fact of how they battled through that and how they're in first place at the All-Star break, despite all that, it's an A without a doubt. Mm-hmm. I mean, the adversity part, obviously, if you include injuries, you're not going to have those guys, it takes the grade down, but that's not something that they can control. So for controllable stuff, going in and day out, trying to win no matter what, it was an A.
Yep. All right. And I agree. And a lot of things, they lost a lot of starting pitchers. Wells, Kramer was out for every one of their starting pitchers, knocking on wood, was on the IL except what? Burns to start off at some point here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
literally, I forgot Grayson was.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
Let's
shoulder issue or something, I think.
Yeah. And also, by the way, this is a stuffed animal. This is not actually socks. But continue, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I can follow that up, honestly. But I'm gonna go with I'll go A minus.
Right.
This is a good team. They have issues to figure out, but with everything considered, they are still in the thick of the AL playoff hunt. They still are up in the AL East. They are still one of the best teams in baseball, albeit with issues, which is why, again, I'm knocking it down a little bit. I would like to see them improve runners in scoring position, the pitching staff, more consistency, which they did have at the beginning of the season, despite how many guys went down. It seemed like, we just saw guy after guy step up. But to me, and I've said this, I want to evaluate this team once the trade deadline passes, because I don't think it's fair to evaluate where they are right now. And we can evaluate what they have done. Mm-hmm. But in terms of evaluating the future, why should we evaluate the roster as it is when ideally there'll be a couple of moves? So for what they've done, I give them an A minus, but for what they can do in the future, I'll go TBD.
All right. So again, first half grade is
A minus.
Thank you.
Can
Okay.
we have Kevin letting us know his second half grade is to be.
I'm ahead of the
TBD.
game.
Yeah, in 30 minutes or less, please.
Oh, hell. We're going to have a second half trade deadline conversation, but you're just teasing it for our friends over there.
I know. I was thinking ahead.
I know. And I know I threw you off because I did something you guys would do on Kevin and Zach Reacts, and then what happens here. Sorry I threw it off. But Rocco, let's keep it moving.
You're like the butler from Mr. Deeds. You're going to show up to Seti's house and ask him for his sock change or whatnot. So that's what's going to end up happening here, Riff.
Hey, good. You know what? That guy became a billionaire too, by the way.
He did.
He did. You're damn right.
He
He actually was the true heir to the
Yes,
place.
yes, he
Damn
was.
right. Kevin has zero idea. He's never seen Mr. Deeds. Continue.
Maybe that could be Kevin. Maybe Kevin's actually like Kevin Ripken. Who knows?
Is that the Adam Sandler movie? I've seen that.
I'm proud of you, Kevin. It is. Can we talk about first half grade
yes,
now?
Absolutely. I'm going to go with my grade for the O's in the first half, all things considered. I'm going to go with the B+ because offensively, they could absolutely be better. Runners in scoring position, it was inexcusable. And I know they were coming off of a grueling month of June, one where they had one day off, one rest day. But we know what this team is capable of because we saw it in June. It's the same team that put up 17 runs against Luis Hill and the Yankees, was the same team that went through a stretch where they only scored, 2 runs in 4 games, got swept by the Cubs. 2 of 3 the Yankees took. It's going to happen in a season of 162 games. There's going to be ups and downs, and Gunnar Henderson talked about it, but you got to be able to overcome and adapt. And thankfully, Alex Verdugo just misplayed a ball and left, and there was an error at short for Volpe. We could have been talking about a team that was heading into the All-Star
Okay,
break.
a W is a W.
Yeah.
You know what? No, Brad. It's great that they won, but that game should have gone completely different, and it could have gone completely different. But I will say this about the O's: with the injuries they've overcome, this is a team to be still. If you would have told me, okay, the O's are going to lose Kyle Bradish, Tyler Wells, John Means, and a handful of guys are going to spend time in the IL this season and be in first place in the AL East heading into the All-Star break, I'd call you crazy. So I go B+ because I think this team could be so much better. There is room for improvement. We have yet to see the A range of the O's. I think they can only get better going forward after the All-Star break, and I think we're going to see them do it.
I agree, Brad. You want to? Well, I agree on some things here, but it's a good assessment overall, Brad.
Yeah.
You close it out.
It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
Thank you.
Winning is winning.
Winning's winning.
I've
Zach-
seen the Orioles lose
Kevin has no
really
idea what I'm
crappy
talking about.
games, no
Is it?
matter what.
What movie is that?
I don't know what movie.
Yeah, see, yeah,
There
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
All right, continue. With your
Anyway,
thought, though.
so that being said, no, I was going to say A- as well. The pitching's really what it comes down to. You can't, in my opinion, if you're winning the division, your first place, it has to be an A. But it's not perfect, and that's what I'm going with. Pitching is certainly an area that needs to be addressed, as is everywhere. We talked to Michael Ice about this. It's a league-wide problem. But that being said, it still needs to be taken care of and addressed. You can't help injuries, but we got to have depth there as far as the pitching staff is concerned. And it's just not quite there where it should be, especially if you plan on going deep into the playoffs. So I'm going A-.
I like it. And also, again, and I appreciate your guys with the grades. And some of you, like you're looking at for the future. I'm not talking about the necessary part of what they need to accomplish or what they need to get better at, because you're right. Runners in scoring position, they weren't doing the little things. I thought that they were giving teams maybe too many opportunities, whether it was via walks from the pitching staff. The defense was not as crisp as it could be. And then when they went into some struggles, yeah, it was evident. But the reason why we got to look at the big picture here, they're the third best team in all of baseball. They're a half game behind the Guardians for best record in the American League.
Yeah.
Then the only other team that's better than them is the Philadelphia Phillies, which they won the series against. Now, the Phillies right now might be a healthier team. They might have more veteran pieces. But for the Orioles, their body of work, that's why I gave my grade to it. Does not diminish what they need to work on and fix. But goodness, holy shirts and pants. Thank God they won that game on Sunday.
I don't
Because
think people understand. We were Alex Verdugo fielding a 99% catch probability ball. We were that close. If that gets caught, mayhem. Mayhem.
That's what I'm saying, man. But
You're
it
just
didn't happen
taking the
that
day
way.
off.
Because imagine it's what you
then
talk
if-
about.
It's also if you take away the 3-run homer from Ben Rice, then we can't just take away what happened and say the win isn't a win.
yeah, winning, that was one thing. When they're
Yeah.
saying the teams didn't earn to win the game, Well, the
Did they not
Yankees
get
didn't
bases
deserve
loaded?
to win the game yesterday because Volpe had the error and then you misplay a ball.
Yeah.
Like that was it.
Did the batters not walk to get the bases loaded to give themselves that opportunity?
It's all a
Rocco's
chance.
shaking in his boots, waiting to answer that question.
What's that?
I said, did the Orioles batters not walk to get the bases loaded?
They did.
Yeah. See.
Earned it.
Well, hey, but again, as always, guys, keep in mind it's a long season. It's a grueling season. And I was going to talk about it. Maybe I'll do it later in the show here. When I said that winning a game like that, when you have a losing streak, just can alleviate so many stresses. You could tell that this group was running on E. They were tired. They were exhausted. And then you're just getting beat down. And it was rough. Like they were getting manhandled for the 5 games until that final game against the Yankees.
Yeah, and one last thing, nothing will get you more fired up than how happy there was no one in that stadium happier than Craig Kimbrell running to second
Yes.
with Cedric Mullins at second base.
was
That
awesome.
man was so happy, the smile on his face. It
I was going
electric.
bananas. I just jumped up and I was like I literally shouted out,
I was-
let's fucking go steady.
I told
Just so
Kevin
happy
real
for
quick,
Sed.
I was at the bar after softball, and I've never seen a place erupt like that.
Yeah.
When Verdugo went down, I hugged so many strangers. I don't even. And it was just pure joy in every single high five and hug. Like we didn't know what just happened.
And you know what? This is a reset that the guys do. They don't need to be at the field. For everyone saying you got to get back to work. No, get away from the field for the few days. Reset your mind, reset your body, and get ready to continue to try to stay atop of the AL East.